Welcome to the Sheff United Way. My name is Hal. We are going to try, hopefully more successfully than we did this time last season, to predict the transfers that Sheffield United will make. Did anyone get any correct last year? Maybe one guy, but then again, I did say the name of every player currently in professional football. I'll probably do the same again. Let's welcome Nick. Let's welcome Ollie. Ollie, let's start with you. How are you? Because this is the first time I'm speaking to you post-Wembley.
Just had to bring it up, didn't we? I was on a high. I was feeling the vibes. I was like, yeah, new season, transfers. I'm getting there. We're getting over it, aren't we? Time has moved on. It's been a couple of weeks. Still feels a little bit raw, but I'm okay. It's fine. End of the day, we all move on. Let's think about the future.
And we are going to think about the future. Nick, the way this is going to work, you decided in our group chat. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, of course. So last year, what we did, because we had so many players going out, we knew that every position, even goalkeeper, we were going to sign someone for that position. So we had goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, attacker. This time, we've kind of just picked the positions that we think that we need to strengthen. So we've got right back, centre back, central midfield. That's, we might lose a player in there. Who knows? Winger, striker, and then we've got a wild card at the end, which is exciting. So We're going to be starting with right back. So let's kick it off, shall we, Hal?
Yeah, if you think I'm going to keep my powder dry until you come to the wild card section, when I don't just mention 6 or 7 players in each position, you are reading comics. So let's indeed start with right back. Ollie, I'm going to begin with you. Sheffield United, which right back are we going to sign?
And I'm going to start us off on the highest note possible. Kyle Walker. Now, if we had won at Wembley, he would already be in the door. We're now going to negotiate. What can we afford? Where can we meet him on wages? But we know that AC Milan are not going to activate their buy clause. We know that there's no place for him left at Manchester City. There may be a very lucrative offer on the horizon coming from Saudi Arabia. But other than that, there's not really any massive appetite for what Kyle Walker's next move is. He has been honest throughout his career that he wants to come back to Bramall Lane. He probably wants to retire with Sheffield United. And this feels like the perfect time to do it. We have new owners who want to make a big statement, will want somebody coming through the door to excite the fans after the disappointment of what happened at Wembley. We have a player who wants to revitalise himself, just get himself going again for the end of his career at a time that he wants to enjoy. Kyle Walker's the man. He is the man to come to Sheffield United and to be perfect one last time. I think it's Kyle. I think Kyle's coming home.
Ole, I knew you were going to do this. I started off thinking there's absolutely no way Kyle Walker's coming to Sheffield United. And by the end of you speaking, I'm like, there's a chance.
Just saying. So you're saying there's a chance.
That's what he does.
All right,
That's
Nick.
What he does. I've gone for the most boring transfer possible. I've gone for someone that we were linked with in January who is now out of contract, John Joe Kenny. I feel like if Chris Wilder is the manager, this is almost nailed on that this will happen because he wanted him in January. It seemed like John Joe Kenny got his bags packed and he got his passport ready and his flights booked. So the fact that he didn't leave there and they didn't want him to go and didn't sanction it just means that we can come in, swoop in, take him for nothing. And we certainly need a right back because we've only got 𝗍𝗻𝗻 who has been injured quite a lot this season. I think he will nail down that spot at some point. It could even be next season. And someone like John Joe Kenny could be a bit of a backup. But obviously Gilchrist gone back, Harry Clark gone back, Hamza Chourey gone back. There's only really Shackleton, 𝗍𝗻𝗻𝗍, and Shay Charles, unless there's anybody else that I'm missing off.
So from ladies' man to Everton fan, those are the 2 early suggestions. My choice, Hamza Chourey, 27 years young. You might have heard of him. There's been rumours, of course, of Jimmy Dunn, but Hamza is now a known quantity, and I feel Dunn is more defensive, more of a centre-back. So I thought Hamza, for my shout, performed very well at right-back in the Championship. And hey, unfortunately, we are still in the Championship. He enjoyed his time at United. We now have 170 million Bangladeshi Blades fans. And if I could just say, we at the Sheff United Way love Bangladesh. In fact, here at Sheff United Way, we always have. A lot of the other channels, they don't love Bangladesh, but we do. They don't care, but we do. In fact, I plan on visiting. It looks like a beautiful country filled with wonderful people. So we love you, lads. Good on you. And totally unrelated, patreon.com/Sheff United Way. Hamza made 19 appearances for Sheffield United last season, picking up 2 yellow cards. A lot of admirers. Loz, the Leicester fan, actually told us on this channel he might be best as a right back, but he's actually only played right back 23 times in his entire career, a career where he's played 274 games. So very few at that position, but I was really comfortable and felt we could rely on him in that position. Very good at jockeying his man, his positional sense excellent. He seemed to know when to put a foot in. I liked his long searching passes, his short passing game. I thought was better at right back than it was in midfield. He's not afraid of a tackle or two. If the price is right, I would buy him. Maybe a season-long loan. Would we get that out of Leicester? I don't know. They've been relegated. Possibly not. He is contracted to the Foxes until 2027. Transfermarkt, if you're interested, they say he's worth €4 million. So that's who I would go with. Let's go to centre-back. Nick?
Yeah, you've already mentioned him, Jimmy Dunn. I actually think Jimmy Dunn is more of a right-back, in all honesty. He's played there for the most of last season, and he did really well there. But Chris Wilder loves a versatile player, as you've just been mentioning. Hamza Chourey can play defensive midfield, also can play right back. Jimmy Dunn can play right back or centre back, and it looked like we were also going in for Jimmy Dunn in January too. I'm kind of cheating here, just going for players that I know that we've been interested in. Whereas last season it was wild and I got none right. So hopefully this year it's going to be slightly different. My worry with Jimmy Dunn is that he's only 6 foot tall. He's an inch taller than Jackie Longthrow. And for a centre-back, I like a centre-back to be 6'2" or taller. When we had Anel and Harry Souttar at the side of each other, it just was a match made in heaven.
Ollie and I are not going to stand for any of this heightism on this channel. These are all...
6 foot's huge.
It's enormous. It's, if anything, it's ridiculous.
6 foot's really tall for a winger, but not for a centre-back, lads.
𝗬𝗿𝗲𝐿𝐵𝐿 could play centre-back, and I believe he'd be better there. And I think Jimmy Dunn's better at centre-back. He's more defensive, so that's why I didn't pick him as a right-back, because he's not going to bomb down that wing. But then again, you got 𝗬𝗿𝗲𝐵𝐿 for that, so maybe his versatility works. Anyway, Nick, please, carry on.
No, that's fine. He's out of contract in the summer. I do feel like having that versatility will be perfect for us. But he's just had a really, really good season. And the thing is, as well, he's played in the National League, League Two, League One, and the Championship. He's gone through them all. He's going to be really, really hungry for Premier League football. So, I would be really excited if we did sign Jimmy Dunn.
He's gone through them all. Again, unrelated to Kyle Walker, we go back to Ollie. So, Ollie, your centre-back.
Another one, he's out of contract this summer. Another one that we were linked with in January. Obviously, we worked extensively to try and get a deal over the line for Harry Darling. He's another one who I could see us revisiting this summer. We're going to want to bring somebody in for this position. It is crucial we get this right. I still maintain that where United, we had a fantastic season. Everything was great, of course. But where we threw this all away was that we didn't sign a proper centre-half in January. If we sign a starting centre-half to play instead of Jack Robinson, we would get promoted. Whether we'd have won the league, whether we'd have won at Wembley, I don't know. But we would be sat here as a Premier League team today having this conversation. I'm so confident of it. And so for me, we've got to get it right. I wouldn't be shocked if one or two of the players maybe we're thinking about do come in to make sure we've got proper cover at centre-back. But the one for me who I think we're going to go for first is Harry Darling. I think we're going to really want to get that over the line. I think he's one of the standout players in the Championship that will be available, and he's free. And I think he'd be a lovely addition to our team. I think he replaces Jack Robinson really well. We'll have a great partnership with Anel because he can both play with his feet, but also he's a little bit taller. We've seen how strong he can be on set pieces with the way that he attacked them for Swansea last season. And so he'd be a huge asset in both boxes. And I think that's exactly what we are missing. I think he's the player who could really help to take us to that next level, to really take us forward. And yeah, he's the man for me.
All right, Harry Darling, you heard it here, 4th or 5th. I'm going to give you the one that I think we'll go for. And then obviously, because it's me, I'm going to give you for the one I would actually like us to sign. A bit more of a,
okay.
I know, a bit more of an out-of-the-box one as well. So Chris Mepham, 27, 28 in November, if he's not careful. A Welsh international, 47 caps, Bournemouth man. He spent last season on loan at Sunderland. His contract is set to expire at Bournemouth, but they do have an option to extend. They bought him in 2019 for £12 million. So you'd imagine they'll just extend that and try and recoup some of that money. They won't get anywhere near 12 million. Mepham himself said the most important thing is just getting game time, staying fit and staying injury-free. He played 38 times for Sunderland last season, scoring once, and of course played early on. Came on, didn't he, in that playoff final. Which
I think we get, again, and I've just said it before, I'll say it again, if he doesn't come on in that playoff final, I think we win that game. Of course, I think the way we've seen 2 minutes in, that 𝗍𝗲𝗴 could absolutely dominate Luke O'Nien, and it helps them out so much.
Because that's what I said that to Nick, didn't I? That we've lost a central midfielder for Sunderland who's been forced to play centre back for, I don't know, maybe he's just playing really well there. I don't watch Sunderland. And then, I said to you, we brought on a guy who's much more dominant in the air. They brought on a guy who's much more dominant in the air, and that was something that we would find difficult to deal with. So that's sad. Let's stop talking about that. And I'm going to throw a name at you, and I want you to remember it. It is Michael Junior Diaz, and he plays in France with Troyes, as we would say. Trois? How do you say it, Ollie?
Trois.
Le Trois.
Right. Not sure that's right. He's a 21-year-old, a right-footed central defender, 6'4", ridiculous. Can play defensive midfield. Formerly with Nantes, he played 34 league games for Troyes in both Ligue 1 and Ligue 2, so most of them in the second tier. Valued at around just £4 million. 39 appearances for Troyes in total, with 2 goals. His contract expires in 2029, an Ivory Coast youth international, but born in France. He'll be 22 in July. He can play right back. He scored an incredibly high rating when I looked at the data, an aerial duels 1, defensive actions, tackles 1, as well as 102 recoveries. 60% of those ground duels he won. He picked up just 6 yellows, no reds. He'll only get better. Remember the name. Nick, what was that name?
I can't think of anything other than Troyes. And then you went Norse, and then it's like Troyes. Something. Michael Junior Diaz.
Yes. It's worth just throwing in, Nick. If we lose Burrows, then watch out for Harley Mills. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I was just going to mention, as if we're not talking about Joe Worrell, like where's Joe Worrell gone in the transfer saga? He's almost Lewis O'Brien. Like, what's going on, Hal?
Yeah, I mean, you normally hear that name and it's associated with, he's become the new Dan Burn, if you're old enough to remember how many times we were linked with Dan Burn. And what a signing that would have been. Right, midfielder. So I've gone last every time. I'll go first this time. I think the one that we're likely to look at, Tommy Doyle, 23 now, 58 appearances, just 1 goal in his career for Wolves. But with United, it was 38 loan appearances and 4 goals. Of course, in a league lower. What do we like about Tommy Doyle? We know he's a playmaker. I think he's brilliant on the ball. We know he's got an eye for goal. That Blackburn goal will live long in the memory. Good in the central areas. I think he works tirelessly, which fans obviously like on and off the ball, which 𝗍𝗲𝗄 was big on. A positional player, but good in a possession-based side. That hasn't necessarily been Wolves. And, Wolves haven't not seen the best of him. They've questioned Wolves fans, his physicality in the top flight, and said he can't cut it as a defensive midfielder. These are actually things I've read. Probably best playing off those behind him in midfield to generate play for those ahead of him. He's featured on 24 occasions for Wolves in the top flight this season. His championship record, much better, 52 appearances, 5 goals and 7 assists for the Manchester City Academy graduate. Perhaps Bramall Lane is just Doyle's natural home. No Wolves fan that I spoke to in the past week said they would be sad to see him go. One saying he's just not Premier League ready. I'd welcome him back, and having fallen out of favour under Victor Pereira, I think as a consequence we could get him for a lot less than maybe people are speculating, maybe as little as £3 million. But the Premier League, it's a tough place, and maybe you don't want to leave it because there is Premier League interest from Sunderland. So that's my pick. Nick?
That'd be a kick in the pants, wouldn't it, if Sunderland took Tommy Doyle? It's like the Gibbs White all over again. Not quite as bad, but Yeah, horrible. I've gone for Tyler Morton from Liverpool. Again, another one that we've been linked with in the past. We were linked with him on loan last time. This time it's looking like Liverpool might let him go. Market value on Transfermarkt, €7 million, which sounds a lot, but as Ollie said earlier on, the new owners might want to go for someone, obviously younger, with a lot more resale value in the future. 2 40-plus appearance championship seasons with Blackburn and Hull already. Hal's already done some on Tyler Morton, so if you want to go back and look at what Hal says, that'll be more extensive than what I'm going to say right now. But he's been out with a shoulder injury since December 2024, so he's not had much game time this season for Liverpool. I really like him, though. It could be a 𝗍𝗍 replacement if the worst happens. 2 completely different players, don't get me wrong. He's 6'1", quite slender, still gets stuck in, but I would say he's cautiously aggressive, uses his aggression at the right time. Don't mind sticking a foot in, takes corners, free kicks, can dribble and pass through the lines. I think he's a really exciting player that needs setting free, if you like, and I'd love to see us sign him.
Yeah, I actually watched a game that he was playing in for Hull, and he got sent off, and it was actually rescinded later on. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
I wrote some notes about him just in case you didn't pick him, and the first thing I wrote was something you said, which was if we lose 𝗍𝗍.
Well, I think they can play together as well because they're different players. He gets stuck in, but he can actually play and carry the ball as well, which 𝗍𝗍 is not as good at. He likes the kind of dirty way. But do you know what I liked about him? Watching clips of him, he does the same 𝗍𝗍 thing where he gets back, he doesn't dive in, and he just leans into him and takes the ball away. And that's what I love about 𝗍𝗍.
Yeah, one of the things that we instantly loved about Vinny when we first saw him was that if the ball's lost, he is legging it down the pitch. Ollie?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, with Tyler Morton, I have one overarching memory of the lad. And it's unfortunate, but I just remember him going down in a pathetic little heap when Tommy Doyle smashes it in the top corner against Blackburn. Yeah. He was obviously trying to win a free kick last minute, didn't know what to do with himself. I would have been absolutely raging that day if I was a Blackburn Rovers fan. Obviously, for United's perspective, easy to move on from, but there is that just to make sure that whatever we're getting out of him, still think he might need to just toughen up a little bit to make sure that he is the man to take us forward. But young, fantastic pedigree, great experience already in the Championship. He's a lovely option, but he's not the right option. And you know what? The right option is the most expensive option I think anyone's going to consider. Because this is coming from, regardless of who he plays for, he's dropping into the Championship already. Regardless of who he plays for, he's going to be the Championship Player of the Season next year. He spent last season on loan and was nominated to be the Young Player of the Season. United wanted to try and pick him up in January. We weren't quite able to get the deal done. But if we could get the deal done, let's say for some reason United get an influx of cash, we lose a player, whether it's an attacking player, a defensive midfielder, we'd get quite a lot of money in that deal that was coming.
Say the name, Ollie. Say the name.
I think we're going to go for Shay Charles.
No.
If we lose, if we get big bucks in, if we get a lot of money through the door, he's the man to bring in. Because he will elevate that squad. If he stays with Southampton, he will be the best player in the Championship. And he will.
Did you say elevate on purpose?
Very good.
Because if you did.
Love you guys.
I think he's
the man.
Do you not think that Southampton's going to keep the man that's going to elevate them?
I think they're going to try, but I think they're also a team coming off the back of a relegation where they could have brought him back in January, but let him go out on loan again. They didn't think he was the man who could elevate them to try and keep them in the Premier League. They didn't want to give him any Premier League experience. They didn't want to try and embed him within their squad. That's 2 managers in a row who've looked at him and gone, yeah, he's a young, talented player, but he's not the one for us right now to take him forward. As it stands, they've not lost any of these midfielders who are already ahead of him in the pecking order. He's not exactly pushed himself forward based on what we've seen Southampton want. Now, I don't think they'll give him away free. I don't think they'll give him away cheap. I think he would come at a massive premium. But if we had the money to spend, having lost a 𝗍𝗍, having lost potentially a 𝗍𝗍𝗲, we would want somebody to come in at the level of the top of the championship. We would want to strengthen ourselves while weakening another team in this automatic promotion race that we are going to be pushing ourselves forward for. And I think it would be worth that premium to set our midfield, not just for next season, but for a long time. And if it costs a lot of money, it would. But you would get that money back and more within the next 2 or 3 years if you were able to do it. It's unlikely. Don't get me wrong. I'm setting myself up for a fail when this one never comes off. But if it did, and if we had the money, that's the best way we could spend it to improve our midfield, because he would take us a long way with his pedigree and what he's got next and how he could elevate the squad.
Ollie, there's only one team
Just...
There's only one team that lets a rival get better, and that's Sheffield United giving away players like Sander Berge, for instance. Like,
yeah, I was going to agree with that. I'm just going to say, Ollie, do you understand the premise of this video?
Yeah, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Focus, everyone. Now, I'm going to throw, before we move on, Hal's left field choice, and I think you might like this one. Bit left field, but hear me out. Jordan Hollesgrove, 25, at Estoril in Portugal. The Scot is a full youth international, with Scotland, unsurprisingly. A left-footed defensive midfielder. He's previously played for Celta Vigo and Olympiacos after starting at Reading. Hollesgrove also comes from a family of footballers. His father, Paul, was a professional, so was his uncle Lee, and his grandfather, John. They were both defenders. Have a little look, if you get a chance, at some highlights of Jordan Hollesgrove. I know it's Portugal, but I think the standard in the Portuguese top flight is very, very good and probably similar to the Championship. I think he could be a real surprise that would by no means be as expensive as all of Ollie's choices. So let's move to wingers. Ollie, I'm going to let you go first with your ridiculous and outlandish suggestion. Who is it?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well, he's just left. Do you know what I mean? He's got a free transfer. He's just left his team. I know he wants to play in the Club World Cup, but the Championship is just as good. So Ronaldo would be the perfect man. No, for this one, I think there is a free agent coming out of League One. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy, I think he's going to have a few suitors. There has been some suggestions that Birmingham City want to throw their money around. But for me, Ricky J. Jones is a fantastic option for United here. I think he is a kind of player who has pace, something that we have massively lacked. He's an out-and-out winger. He can play up front, but he can also just play out-and-out down the wing. We know that's something that United lacked a little bit as the season went on. We became one-dimensional coming inside. He gives us a proper wing option, particularly when you look at what the model is. You look at the model of teams getting out of the Championship. Look at what Leeds did. They got wingers that winged. And so what we're looking at is to try and find other players who can do similar. I like how I found that funnier than anybody else. But what we're looking at is players who can try to move us in that mold, take us forward looking at this. Ricky J. Jones, I think, is the cheapest, but also the most sensible option because he's young with lots of space to develop. He's somebody United have definitely looked at before, which gives us a little bit of an edge. I think we've got a good relationship with 𝗞𝗶𝗴. And so even though he is leaving them on a free, I think we can utilise some of that in the relationship that he'll have got there. I think he's sensible. I think of all the picks that I've gone through so far, he's the one I think is most likely that we'll see playing in red and white in 3 months' time.
I think you're right. I think you might be right here. However, I've gone for somebody else that's out of contract this summer. It's valued at €5 million. Tyrese Dolan. And do you know what I've just realised? I'm like, how does that say Tyrese? Because it's not how you say Tyrese Campbell. It's Tyrhys, which is Ty, and then Reese, like Reese Davis. I've only just noticed that.
It's the Welsh spelling.
Is it? Is it now? So this Welsh-English winger that we've got here, he's 23 years old. Like I say, he's out of contract in the summer. And I think it's quite funny, if we sign him, we'll have signed 3 of the Blackburn Rovers players that, you know, handed our bottoms to us. That's 𝗍𝗫, Ben Barrett and Diaz, and now Tyrese Dolan. I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan of Tyrese Dolan. He's a very silky footballer. But he seems like one of these footballers that we sign and then never do anything for us. So hopefully we sign him and this time we can use wingers in the right way. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, or he can play as a 10. The only other thing is, and as we've mentioned, and I think a lot of these players, Birmingham will be looking at a lot of these players as well. I don't know if they'll be watching this video necessarily, but I think they will be looking at some of these players, and Tyrese Dolan is one of those. And I was listening to some Blackburn Rovers fans talking about it might go to the SPL as well. So there's also rumours in there, and apparently they wouldn't have to pay any sort of compensation. I didn't know compensation was a thing, but if he goes to Scotland, that wouldn't be a thing. But yeah, I think he's an excellent player. He's out of contract. It's looking like he's wanting to move on. He's played a lot of games for them. So I think it's time for him to move on.
I love the idea that the Birmingham City Scouts are now sat at home watching this video and they're like, oh, who've they said? Tyrese Dolan, I'll get him in. And I love that suggestion, Nick. I do think that's how Scouts work. So I think it's really exciting to know. Hi, Birmingham Scouts.
I mean, if that was how scouting worked, all I'm saying is I could have saved the Blades quite a bit of cash. I remember when, I'm not going to say a name, but I did a video on a player and Nick just sent me a message saying, you do not want us to sign this lad, do you? And I was like, no. We did sign him. Tom Brady, of course, big fan of the channel. So let's move on to my choice. It's a left winger called Isaac Jensen, who compared very favourably with Manor Solomon. I want to shout 𝗍𝗲𝗵𝗹𝗹, give him a follow on Twitter, who really helped me with the research for this one. He's 21. He's at Viborg. As I mentioned, a left winger, but he's one that cuts inside as he's right-footed. 19 appearances, 5 goals, 1 assist in the league. They have a different structure to the league, and of course they play at different times of the year. So if we do it over the piece, over the whole year, it would be 34 appearances, 11 goals, 4 assists, 6 Danish under-21 caps, 1 goal. He got that against Norway. Yeah, it's true. In his entire career, 151 appearances, 28 goals. It gets better. So listen to his entire Viborg FF. That's the Danish Super League. That's the top tier. 60 appearances, 18 goals, 5 assists. He is just 21 years young. He's also played on the right. He can play in the centre of midfield. He's even played up front, and his contract expires in 2027. But I had a look on a few different websites. They're saying his value is super, super cheap, between £2 and £4 million. And this, I think, is a player that could be someone's, probably won't be United's with our scouting policy, someone's steal of the season. Isaac Jensen, Jensen. That is my shout for a winger.
That feels AI driven, doesn't it? That feels like exactly where we're going to land. The right kind of league outside the top 5s. AI taking us forward. Buying low cost, high ceiling. Did great for me on Football Manager. These are all things that must be factored in that really try and take you forward. That really, I think the United team are going to be looking for.
This is it. And this is, we're constantly going on about our WhatsApp chat, and we'll do it again. I have been saying to Nick that we need to see the way that we're going to do business. Is it going to be Chris Wilder's shortlist that he's had since 2017, or is it going to be AI driven? And if it's AI driven, which sometimes that excites me, depends where you go and how you do it and what you look at. And Ollie's absolutely right. That would fit this mold. Ollie, while we've got you, striker,
one. So it's a loan for me. Obviously, I don't think we're going to go out there and sign for every position. I think we'll do similar to what we did this season. We'll go out there, we'll find who are the high value loans. We pumped a lot of money into some of our loans coming in last season, and some of them really changed the game for United. Think about the impact that Harry Souttar had, that Hamza Chourey had in terms of the way that he was able to cover that right side and really lock it down. We spent quite a lot of money on an impact player as well last summer. We wanted to see how we could get a winger on the pitch who was going to be dangerous. We put a lot of money into it. It didn't quite work. But I think we're going to try that again. We're going to try and get a striker, an attacking player who's going to be a difference maker. And I think we'll go in for 𝗬𝗍𝗵𝗴. He's been injured, obviously missed a lot of the end of last season. He tore it up for Stockport in League One, moved on to Hull, and then picked up this injury, which meant he couldn't take the Championship by storm, couldn't kick on with the momentum that he'd already started to build. But he's going to be a prime target. He might be the prime target for this summer in terms of loans coming into the Championship, and we should be right at the front of that market. He can score from literally anywhere. I don't know why you would, because you're watching United channel. But if anybody decided to go out of their way to watch the League One goal of the season competition and go by month to see which won every month, you're still with me, right? He had so many of them. Practically every goal was just another 𝗬𝗍𝗵𝗴 screamer, because he just did it consistently week after week from numerous different positions, coming off the left, coming off the right, playing through the centre. He was just finding chances, finding ways to find the top corner. And so he, for me, is probably the premium loan that all clubs in the Championship should be looking at. But with our pull, the way we've used our loans in the last few seasons, he's got to be one that we're considering, one we're taking forward, and the one who I think is going to be wearing red and white come the first game of the season.
Interesting. If you watch Welcome to Wrexham, you can actually see his little cameo in the latest series where he does very well, but also gives the ball away and doesn't track back. Will that be popular at the Lane? Well, don't worry, because it's Ollie's suggestion, so it won't happen. Nick, striker.
I've gone for one that, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but I'd like to see us sign Colton Morris. I think for a few £1 million, he's only 29. He's a big bully. He reminds me a bit like Troy Deeney in the Championship. And I just feel like the player that we have that we want to do that is 𝗍𝗲𝗴, and he's not that man for me. He's not a big bully. I think he's got better feet than 𝗍𝗲𝗴. I think he's a little bit more mobile, and I think he's a battering ram. So I think he would be a very, very good signing. Yes, he got beaten up a little bit last season. They got relegated. But to me, that just screams that Luton will want to, not necessarily want to offload him, but he'll want to go. And, he's 29 years old. He don't want to play in League One when he were not exactly tearing it up in the Premier League, but he had a really good Premier League season for a team that finished third bottom. So 6'1", he's not perfect height for a man, but he's 1 inch off. And I just feel like he would be perfect for us. Like it looks like we're going to play 2 front next season. And if we had him next to Tyrese Campbell, Tom Cannon, someone like that, I think he would be really, really good for us. But West Bromwich Albion also interested. And I feel like a striker, if we're going in for a strike, he'll look at our team. Tyrese Campbell scoring 12 goals last season, 9 assists. He's probably going to be number one guy to knock off his perch. Tom Cannon, 10 million plus. There's obviously 𝗍𝗲𝗴 in there, Ryan Brewster. If I was a striker, I wouldn't want to come to Sheffield United because I would be thinking I'm not going to get any game time. But I would like to see a big battering ram like Colton Morris.
Yeah, well, you do not set the great height for a man scale, Nicholas. So
Sorry, mate.
We'll speak off air about that. But hey, Nick, if you like strikers that didn't get into double figures last season, do I have the striker for you? Yes, that's right. Oliver McBurner. Do I want us to sign him? I'm not going to say. Do I think we'll sign him? That's what this video is, Ollie. So Ollie McBurner, 29, scored 3 goals in 34 for Las Palmas in La Liga. Those are classic Sheffield United striker numbers. 29 goals in 159 in total that he managed for United. A full Scotland international, 16 appearances, 0 goals. This smells of Sheffield United. This has got blades written all over it. So that is likely to be the striker that we go for. I will just say that Charlie Kelman, QPR, 23-year-old striker, born in Basildon, so obviously represents America at youth level anyway. Bagged 21 in 46 in the league on loan at Leyton Orient last season. That's his second loan spell at the O's. They do like him. Could he translate that into the Championship? I don't know, but he is a name that we've already been linked with, so it'd be remiss of me not to mention him. Right.
You know what? I don't mind your shouts, because I think what United need, if we're going to bring in a striker, let's be fair, right, about where we're looking, we're going to need the battering ram, somebody who can alternate with 𝗍𝗲𝗴. If we're going to play 2 up front, which we saw as being a little bit like the blueprint at the end of the season, they're the kind of players we need. I like the idea. McBurner and Moore both can play about 20 games a season. So why not have both of them and let them just do that? Keep them fit. One plays Saturdays, one plays Tuesdays. Everybody's happy. That feels like it's something that United would do. Feels like the kind of thing that would work. I also like the idea that United will spend 20 million quid on a striker, let him go on a free, and then immediately bring him back on a free. That just up the blades.
I know. You've got to love it. Right, we're not done yet. Yeah, we're all having just far too much fun. We've also introduced for this very special season the wild card option. And Nick, as this was your idea, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, I hoped I was going to be last. I really hoped, but I'm going to go in for it.
I know who Nick's picking. Let's rearrange and let Nick go last.
If you really want Nick to go last, he can go last.
I think the wild card. So for me, I said it earlier, I don't think United will sign just one centre-back. I think we'll recognise the weaknesses in our team from last season. I think we'll see what ultimately cost us promotion. I think we'll see what let us down, and we won't make that mistake again. I think we'll try and get somebody to fit the 𝗲𝗲𝗵𝗸 mould. We talked about a lot of players earlier, but none of them fit this mould. We don't get to have a big, strong, physical destroyer. None of them were the player who I think United necessarily need, but they were all fairly realistic. This is, for me, the wild card. This is if I could sign one player for Sheffield United this summer, I would sign Jaffer Tanganger. I would go and get an unbelievably good centre-half out of Millwall. We know that he can be physically dominant. He proved himself last season that he can stay fit and play a full season, which is what had ultimately cost him his place at Tottenham. He is ready to step forward and play Premier League football. Let's offer him the chance to drive a team to the Premier League himself. Let's have somebody there who is physically dominant, who's also a bit of a baller, if we're being honest. We saw that when we played against Millwall away from home, where he was able to get the ball with his feet. He could cause so many problems for United. He is a danger in so many different ways. I would love to have him at Bramall Lane. And we know that Millwall, unless they get this very exciting new takeover, which is hilarious. Hi, Simon Jordan. If they get their really fun new takeover, maybe they won't want to sell. But I think if that doesn't go through, if we manage to maybe get in there early while Berylsons are still in charge, I think Tanganga's available at a relatively reasonable fee, probably not as much as we spent on Tom Cannon. So let's go out there, get this done, and have somebody who's an actual difference maker for the money that we're going to spend. Tanganga would be perfect for United and is definitely the best option available to us. If I could have anybody, he's the man I'm getting.
Tanganga, yeah. I agree. That would be great. I've gone with one that'll be a little bit more expensive. If we lose Harmer, then Jack Rodoni would be my shout, because I'd assume we'd get a lot of money for Harmer. 23, he's left-footed, former Huddersfield central midfield man, really kicked on at Frank Lampard's Coventry City. He also scored his first ever Cov goal against Sheffield Wednesday, born Blade, although he was actually born in London. But he is eligible to play for America. That's due to his grandparents. 10 goals and 13 assists. They've really caught the eye. I've been impressed every time I've seen him. Contracted to Cov, though, until 2028. And market value on Transfermarkt is quite high, between 12 and 15 million. That's euros. I'd actually expect it to be more than that. In his career, he's played 127 times in the centre, scoring 16 with 18 assists. That's fantastic. 42 times he's played as a left midfielder or a winger, scoring 9 and getting 9 assists. 25 times on the right, cutting inside. As I mentioned, he's left-footed, scoring 5. 13 times he's actually played as a defensive midfielder in front of the defence, and he's actually got 2 goals and 2 assists when playing there. So the versatility is clear for all to see. So in his entire career, 244 appearances, 34 goals, 34 assists, 35 yellows, not afraid of getting stuck in. Never been sent off, though. Linked with some Premier League clubs. So this one goes on my wild card, but probably unlikely. And Nick, because it has been decided, we finish with you.
Okay, so I'm going to go for Mr. Joshua Windas. Bearing in mind, I do not want this to happen, but I feel like it really could be a Chris Wilder, Josh Windas, S-House move. Gary Medine-esque. Seeing him at Bramall Lane playing for Sheffield United. He clearly knows how to score a goal in a playoff final as well, which, still don't want to think about that. He's 31 years old, which obviously goes against him. Also, not being very good at football also goes against him. And also not being a very nice human being also goes against him. The reason why I'm saying that, I think a lot of you will have seen on social media where he's been talking about a young lad from Wednesday, which wasn't very nice. So I don't want to see this happen, but I feel like this could be such an S-House moment. He's obviously can shoot from distance, which we saw him score from his own goal line, I think it was, against Derby.
Furthest distance anyone's ever scored from, I think, Nick, actually. The way I heard it, I've not seen it, but I've heard that it's the greatest furthest distance goal that anyone's ever seen. And actually, the way it was told to me is there were more people in the ground to see it than actually live on planet Earth. So it was just an amazing scenario for everybody to be involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen him do it a couple of times, in all honesty. He can score from distance. He shoots from distance. He's good at linking up play. He's an attacking midfielder / second striker. So it kind of... I could see it happen. I actually don't think he's a terrible footballer. I'm only joking. I do think he's a terrible human being, unless we sign him and then we need to, interview him in the future. Then we love him. But no, not a big fan of him. I don't think this will happen. But I could see us
getting pretty cheap, what's the going rate, do you reckon? Just 1 week's wages? Do you reckon they'd give it us for that? Or how do you reckon they'd want us to try and take this forward?
Well, that's the other thing. What I need to get round to talking about is the fact that Wednesday have extended his contract. He didn't want them to, but they have done. I don't think he's not going to want to be paid. So that'll be another reason why he'll want to get out of the club. It's Wednesday at the end of the day. Would you rather stay and be owned by 𝗬𝗲𝗄𝐺𝐻's craziness, or do you want to come to a club that actually want to try and get promoted and have got a little bit of ambition?
Well, we shall see. I'll be amazed if that happens. And amazed is one word. Thank you all for watching or listening. If you get this on a podcast, please let us know in the comments, if you're watching on YouTube, which one of these you think are likely, most unlikely, and your choices in these positions. Because if you get it right, you can have bragging rights. Let's see which one of us, probably me, got any of these correct. Thank you.